Kira, that was beautiful. Thank you. All right, now I get to introduce our guest speaker for today. Her name is Margarita Magdalena de la Cruz Cook Garcia. Yes. And we're going to have a movie introducing her because there's far many facts than I could remember to say. So, Maria, do you want to come on up? She goes by Maggie, by the way. This is easier for the way you just...
Absolutely. All right, before we get started, I'd like for you guys to do something with me. Can you stand real quick? I want you guys to stand and take a big stretch. Take a big stretch. And then wiggle your fingers like this. You're going to tickle the angels. You didn't do that this morning, did you? And I just want you to relax and take a deep breath in. And you can take your seat. Does that feel good? Yeah? Happy Father's Day. In Mexico, we say Feliz Día del Padre. And we have a video that we're going to play. And I just wanted to let you know that it's graphic. I added some things that weren't there last week. So if you feel like you need to turn your head, that's absolutely fine. So you can go ahead and play the video. Gente siempre me ha preguntado, ¿quién es mi superhéroe? ¿Quién me inspira? Y yo siempre he dicho, yo. Siempre he ido más alto y más lejos de todo lo que se ha requerido de mí, porque he querido ser una persona mejor. My name is Maria Magdalena de la Cruz Garcia, but people call me Maggie, and I'm the owner of Magie Salsa LLC. I started making my salsa actually when I came here to the United States and I was in college. All my friends told me that this stuff is so good, you should sell it. And I would tell them, you're nuts. And then one day my friends forced me to enter a salsa competition in Charleston and I won by unanimous vote. And then at that moment I thought, maybe I do have something here.
When I first tasted Magie Salsa, I was blown away. It was awesome product. I could tell it was fresh. I could tell it was made with quality ingredients and knew that it would be a great product for Walmart.
To get a call from Walmart was, wow, was amazing.
The most surprising thing I discovered about Maggie, and actually probably the most impressive as well, was that she was born in Mexico, raised in an orphanage, and immigrated into this country before starting her business.
It was really tough. There's a lot of poverty. I saw a lot of suffering. My biggest hope was to someday come out of there and be a success, be something that would inspire millions of people. Before I actually started my business, I was homeless, living on the streets of Charleston, and somebody actually gave me $800 to start my business, and that was it. My salsa is unique because it's an all fresh salsa. We don't cook any of the ingredients.
The most exciting part of my job is being able to bring a company like Maggie's to market and help make it successful.
El consejo que yo le diera a muchas mujeres que están pensando en realizar sus sueños es esto. Be courageous. Sal fuera de tu caja. Si quieres hacer algo extraordinario, tienes que hacer algo que nunca has hecho antes. Tú eres suficientemente fuerte para hacer todo lo que quieras hacer para realizar tus sueños.
Had to look away there a little bit because every time I see that, it brings tears to my eyes because it's very powerful. So I grew up in this orphanage, and I really never had a good relationship with my father. I didn't have a good relationship with my mother either. It was really rough. But one thing that I learned, because of the suffering that I experienced done to me and seen it to others, was I was able to have a sense of sensitivity and awareness about what was going around me, that I made a choice very early in life, and I said, whatever I'm seeing here, I will not do somewhere else. I will never do what I'm seeing here, there, whatever it was that was happening. Sort of kind of looked at things like, I will never do anything to harm somebody else, but I will learn from other people's experiences, even though I was part of that experience. So that was a big lesson, part of my spirituality and growing. And I'm so thankful that I went through all that, what I went through, because it has allowed me to grow as a spiritual being and become the person that I am today. It's just a blessing. Several days ago, I went into a meeting/workshop, and it was my first time there, and I walked into the room and I sat down. There's quite a nice group of people there. And as I sat down, this elder man gets up and begins to have a presentation. And he is very good. He's moving left and right, and he's really having eye contact with everybody. He's really looking at everybody. And I'm sitting there thinking, gosh, this guy is really good. And then, as I was thinking all these things in my head about how wonderful he was, he says, and who is the new person in the room? And he was standing right there, and I was sitting right there, and I was like, and so he just stood there and looked at me. And I was like, again? And I kept thinking in my head, hello, I'm here. And everybody turns to me and says, he's blind. And all I could think about was, wow, this guy is amazing. I really want to talk to him. And as I was listening to him, I was thinking, I wonder, in my head, I wonder how blind is he, because he's really good. I mean, there's some people that are really blind, and then there's several degrees of blindness, correct? So I'm thinking all this, and then he begins to move more, then the projector turns on, and the presentation's in the background, and he walks right in the center of it, and you can see the light, the bright light of the projector on his face, and you could see Microsoft Word and Windows, and, and I'm thinking, yep, he's definitely blind. I have to talk to him. So after we were done with the meeting, I took a side with him, and I said, I really want to know how you do this because you're so good. And he said, being blind has given me the sensitivity and the awareness to be better, to be a better speaker, to be better in many different areas in my life. And I said, wow. And then I thought, what if I tried it? And I was thinking, what would be the experience of speaking blind? What could I gain spiritually, the sensitivity about speaking blind and having that experience? And then I thought about an experience that I had when I was in the orphanage. In the orphanage, this is really cool. In the orphanage, we were always paired, if you were a young kid, we were always paired with an adult, and if you were an adult, you were always paired with a child to take care of. Every week you would change. And one week, this was when I was 15, 16, I was paired up with a boy named Pancho. And here's Pancho. Is Pancho on the screen? Okay. Pancho was a young boy, baby, that we got. We actually found him in a dumpster. He had spinal bifida, he couldn't walk, and we think that's why they got rid of him. And Pancho was my buddy partner that week. And I said, and I had to carry Pancho on my back wherever I went. So I had this great, brilliant idea, and I said, what if Pancho can help me? And so I took Pancho and I set him on the side of the court, and I said, Pancho, would you be willing to help me? Because I really want to get better at basketball, because I really want to weigh out, and I really want to do good and be the best that I can be. And he says, sure, Maggie. And I said, I'm going to cover my eyes like this, and I'm going to take this ball and dribble in the court, and I'm going to, the angels are calling. And I'm going to take this ball and go between my legs and do a half turn, and just continue to do everything. And when I get to the edge, just say stop and turn. And he did that. And then he thought that I was looking, so he stopped. And I ended up hitting a pole and having stitches on my forehead. Oh, there you are. And so that was quite a unique experience for me, because it allowed me to see, blindfolded, what nobody else was able to see in my team, therefore made me a better person as a player. What I envisioned being blinded, I envisioned multitudes of people coming towards me as I was dribbling the basketball behind my back, between my legs, and I saw them trying to take that ball from me, and I was not letting that happen. So that gave me a tremendous amount of experience and confidence to be able to play and to be able to be recruited by the Mexican national team. So my question to you is, what do you need to put on? What do you need to take away? What do you need to get rid of? What do you need to give to God in order to be free and have that sensitivity, in order to see what you need to see to grow as a spiritual being? Right when I was about that age, I had a really rough encounter with my father, and it was probably the worst experience in my life, because it affected me in the long run. And he thought I turned gay because my character, I was very strong and I did things with the boys and everything. So he got very angry one day, and he said to me, if you're gay, you'll never amount to anything. You'll die in prison and with AIDS. Very strong words. And all I could do was, and the reason why they impacted me so much is because I looked up to this guy. He was 6 feet tall. Everybody respected him. I wanted to be like him. I wanted to be strong so nobody else would hurt me and I could protect myself. And notice how when family says something to you, actually hurts more than what anybody says to you, right? So it was a really powerful experience. And that actually affected me later in life, because when I graduated college, I became homeless. I couldn't find a job, and I didn't tell anybody. Why? Because I didn't want my father to find out that part of his prophecy was fulfilled. And my ego was hurt, everything was hurt. And I could remember being on the street with my 2 or 3 garbage bags, literally in the winter, thinking, wow, I see. I don't have bills to pay, I don't have a car to insurance, I don't have anything. All I have is me in God. How profound is that? And then I was able to realize, so you ask questions, but you just don't ask any question. You ask quality questions, because in order to ask a quality question, you get a quality answer. So I began to ask, why did he do this? See, I was so centered in me, in my ego, and how I was hurt, that I felt to see and have the sensitivity of what was going around me. And I began to ask, why did he do this? Was he afraid for my life? Was that the only way that he thought he could get my attention to change or do something different? Was he suffering? Was he hurting? Because of how I was treated growing up by my parents. What was their life like growing up? What was their history? I put on the detective hat and did the research, and I found what had happened to them growing up, and all I had was compassion. No longer I had anger and resentment towards them, which I had all my life growing in the orphanage. I had this tremendous amount of compassion, and it filled me. And that reminds me of the story of Job. Anybody know the story of Job? Yes? So in a nutshell, in the story of Job, evil comes to God and says, Job has everything. Because he has everything, he, is loyal to you. And if you just let me take the cattle and his homes, and notice he will deny you. And God said, no, that's not going to happen. Job's my loyal servant. So evil went, took those things away, and nothing happened. So evil goes back to God and says, okay, what if I take off his kids, his family? So he progressively he took everything away from Job, including his health. As long as evil didn't touch his life, he had llagas, sores, and he was bathing in ashes, but he never denounced God. And what did Job say at the very end of that Bible verse? He realized, God, my ears have heard of you, but my eyes now see you. Because he was able to see by losing everything, really everything that he already had inside of him. So what do you need to get rid of? What do you need to see? What do you need to do in order to live a more fulfilled, balanced life as a spiritual being? What are you not seeing right now? What circumstance do you need to put yourself into in order to be able to see something that you haven't been able to see before? And this is really interesting, because as a life coach, I talk to tons and tons of people, my clients, and sometimes when they come to me with a problem, the solution is right in front of them, but they can't see it, because they've been thinking and they've been doing the same thing over and over again, but they've never asked themselves the different question, or they never cared to look, because that's only focused on the problem. So I had a client, his name is Christian, and he came to me and he was very upset. He said, Maggie, I'm so distraught, I don't know what to do. My life is over. He said, I had a girlfriend of so many years, I can't remember. He said, she broke up with me and went with another man. And that's very hurtful. It would be to me. And so I said, okay. And he says, well, also, I lost my job because I've been so depressed and stressed that I couldn't perform, so I lost my job. And to top it off, I totaled my car last night. I lost my car. And I said, well, Christian, tell me something. Tell me, what are all the things about this person that you miss? What are all the things? And as he went down the list one by one, I could see that he was very passionate about it. And I said, Christian, the things that you're missing in her are the things that you're missing in yourself. And unless you can fulfill those things within yourself, you will be made whole and will be able to be free. You don't even need to date anybody else because you have all those things that you wanted on somebody else. So a light bulb went off. We ended the conversation. He called me a month later and he says, Maggie, you're not going to believe it. He was on the East Coast. He says, I got a job in California. I'm driving in a brand new car. Thank you so much. So what was he able to see? It was right in front of him, but he couldn't see it because he was so focused on the problem. And to have spiritual awareness and sensitivity, you have to be able to see with the eyes of God, not with these eyes. You have to be able to be connected, to have that sense of awareness. And how do you do that? Because it's so tough. I mean, you walk through life and you go through all these circumstances in life and the reality, and you don't know how to be aware because there's so much going on, right? But one thing that I do is I have that sense of awareness in my stomach. You know that gut feeling that you feel when something's bad? And you recognize that, and you automatically make a connection to say, where is my awareness? How can I apply this? How can I apply what I know to my life to make it better, to make a solution, to resolve the problem right now? And so this is why it's so important to be connected and have the sense of sensitivity to know that we can actually evolve and grow past our limits and circumstances. And it's very powerful. You know, one of the reasons I became a Unity minister was because growing up, my parents were Christians, non-denominational Christians, and I had the sensitivity to know back then, to really know in my gut feeling that something was wrong. Because how could you be told over and over again that you could go to hell by thinking certain things and doing certain things? And yes, I tried what Letty did when I was a kid. Tried 5 minutes of not thinking bad thoughts, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to hell. You know, so I gave up. But when I found Unity, it was the next step towards my spiritual evolution because it gave me the oneness that I was looking for, the real truth. And that really resonated with me. In my book, I talk about when you meet people, the first time that you do when you see people, you automatically make an assumption about them, right? What they're wearing, how they speak, how they move. And I made it a point to be aware in my spirituality, my sensitivity, to see a person and only see light. Say, I only see light, I only see you. I don't know anything else until you talk to me, but I only see you, I see that light. And what an interesting approach to meeting people that way. I read something not too long ago in a book, Hindu religion, and it really resonated with me. And it says, it goes like this: I see you as a beautiful divine being whose eternal consciousness pervades your body and mind, and is the light of your true self shining across to mine. I bow to that transcendent being that is the real you. So I say, Daddy, don't worry, I see you. Thank you.
Okay, let's take our time to regain our composure. That was beautiful and inspiring, and how lucky are we to have this woman in this congregation.